At first glance, the world of Shintoism, Japan's ancient spiritual path, seems very far from the world of Judaism, the faith of the Jewish people. One is a tradition of many kami, or divine spirits found in nature. The other is a religion centered on one God who made a covenant with a chosen people. Shintoism grew from the unique landscape of the Japanese islands, with its forests, mountains, and rivers. Judaism was born in the deserts of the Middle East, shaped by prophets and patriarchs. They look like complete opposites. A person might think there is nothing at all to connect these two ancient ways of life, separated by thousands of miles and different histories. They seem to belong to entirely separate spiritual universes, yet when we look closer we start to see surprising echoes. It is like hearing a familiar melody played on a different instrument. The similarities are not always on the surface. They are hidden in the way people build their sacred places, in the rituals they perform to feel pure, and in the objects they hold dear. These parallels are deep and can be found in the very structure of their beliefs about family, community, and the divine. This essay will explore these fascinating connections. We will journey through their sacred spaces, their purification rites, and their most important symbols. We will discover how two such different cultures could develop such similar ways of experiencing the sacred world around them. The journey into these shared traditions is not just an academic exercise, it is a human story. It shows us that people everywhere, no matter their background, often ask the same questions. They seek purity, they honor their ancestors, and they build special places to connect with something greater than themselves. The parallels between Shintoism and Judaism reveal a common human impulse to create meaning and order in the world. As we compare the Grand Ise-Gran Shrine in Japan to the historical temple in Jerusalem, or a Shinto priest's robes to those of a Jewish high priest, we see a shared language of spirituality. This language is spoken through actions, symbols, and architecture, telling a story of human faith that crosses cultural divides. These connections are so striking that some have even suggested a direct historical link between the ancient Israelites and the people of Japan. While these ideas are not accepted by most historians, they add an interesting layer to our exploration. Whether the similarities are a coincidence, a result of shared human psychology, or something more, they challenge our assumptions. They invite us to look beyond the obvious differences that separate religions. They encourage us to find the common ground that unites us. In a world that often focuses on what makes us different, discovering these unexpected parallels is a powerful reminder of our shared humanity and our common spiritual quest for meaning and connection. The sacred spaces of both Shintoism and Judaism share a remarkable design philosophy, focused on separating the holy from the ordinary. In Shintoism, a shrine is marked by a torii gate. This simple yet powerful structure signals that you are leaving the everyday world and entering a space where the kami reside. It is a threshold between the profane and the sacred. Similarly, the ancient Jewish temple in Jerusalem had a series of courtyards and gates. Each one led to a more sacred area. The outer courts were for the public, while the inner sanctums were only for the priests. This idea of increasing holiness as one moves deeper into a sacred space is a core principle shared by both traditions, creating a physical journey that mirrors a spiritual one. Inside these sacred areas, both traditions emphasize a focal point of immense holiness, a place where the divine presence is most concentrated. In a Shinto shrine, the most sacred object, the shintai, a mirror, sword, or jewel in which the kami's spirit resides, is kept in the innermost building, the hondan. This area is closed to the public and only accessible to the high priest. This mirrors the Holy of Holies in the Jerusalem temple. This was the most sacred room where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. Only the high priest could enter, and only on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. In both cases, the ultimate sanctity is veiled, protected, and approached with the greatest reverence and care. Another fascinating parallel is the importance of ritual purification before entering these holy grounds. Before passing through a Shinto torii gate, visitors are expected to cleanse themselves at a water basin called a temizuya. They wash their hands and rinse their mouths, a symbolic act of purifying the body and spirit before approaching the kami. This is very similar to the Jewish practice of ritual washing. Before priests could serve in the temple, they had to wash their hands and feet at a special basin known as the kayor. This emphasis on water as a purifying agent underscores a shared belief. One must be spiritually and physically clean to stand in the presence of the divine. The ritual itself prepares the mind for a sacred encounter. Furthermore, both traditions avoid the use of idols or human-like statues for worship in their most sacred spaces. While Shinto art may depict kami in various forms, the hondan of a shrine does not contain a statue for worship. Instead, it holds the shintai, a symbolic object that houses the spirit of the kami. This focus on symbolic representation rather than direct imagery is a core tenet of Judaism, which strictly prohibits the creation of graven images of God. The sacredness in both faiths is tied to presence and symbol, not to a physical depiction of the divine. This aniconic tradition creates a sense of mystery and transcendence, encouraging a more abstract and personal connection to the holy. The concept of purity, or kagari, defilement in Shintoism, and time, ritual impurity in Judaism, is central to both faiths. It goes far beyond simple physical hygiene. In Shinto, impurity is associated with death, disease, and bloodshed. It is seen as a spiritual dust that clouds one's connection to the kami. To remove this defilement, Shinto priests perform purification rituals called oharai. They use a special wand called an haraegushi, made of a wooden stick with paper or linen streamers to sweep away the impurity. This act of cleansing is essential before any important ceremony or festival, ensuring that the participants and the space are in a state of purity and ready for communion with the divine. This focus on ritual purity finds a strong echo in Jewish law. In ancient times, a person could become ritually impure through contact with a dead body, certain illnesses, or other specific events outlined in the Torah. To become pure again, a person often needed to immerse themselves in a mikveh, a special bath of natural water. Priests in the temple had even stricter purity requirements. The idea that certain life events, especially those related to mortality, create a temporary barrier between a person and God is a powerful link between these two traditions. Both see purity not as a moral judgment, but as a necessary state for sacred interactions, a way of restoring spiritual balance. The practice of making offerings is another area of surprising similarity. In Shinto, offerings to the kami, known as shinsen, typically include food and drink. These are things that sustain human life. Common offerings are rice, sake, rice wine, water, salt, vegetables, and fish. These items are carefully arranged on special tables before the altar, presented as a meal for the kami. It is an act of gratitude and respect, a way of sharing the best of the harvest with the divine spirits who ensure prosperity. The offerings are seen as a way to please the kami and maintain a harmonious relationship with them. This ritual strengthens the bond between the human and divine realms through the simple, profound act of sharing a meal. In ancient Judaism, offerings were also a central part of worship at the temple in Jerusalem. While some offerings were animal sacrifices, many were not. Grain offerings, wine libations, and incense were common. The showbread, 12 loaves of unleavened bread, was placed on a special table in the temple each week as an offering to God. This practice, like the Shinto shinsen, represents giving back a portion of God's bounty as an act of devotion and thanks. Although the practice of animal sacrifice ended with the temple's destruction, the idea of offering through prayer, charity, and good deeds remains a core part of Jewish life. Both traditions share the fundamental idea that giving something of value is a powerful way to connect with God or the kami. Section 4, symbols of the sacred processions, vestments, and music. One of the most visually striking parallels between Shintoism and Judaism is found in their ceremonial processions involving a sacred portable ark. During Shinto festivals, a portable shrine called A is carried through the streets. The is believed to carry the spirit of the kami from the main shrine out into the community. It's often ornate, resembling a miniature temple, and is carried on the shoulders of many people who chant and celebrate. This procession brings the kami's blessings to the people and purifies the town. It's a joyous and energetic event that connects the shrine directly with the daily lives of its followers, making the divine presence tangible and mobile. This practice is remarkably similar to how the ancient Israelites carried the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark, a sacred chest containing the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, was seen as the earthly throne of God. It was carried on poles resting on the shoulders of the Levites during their journeys in the desert and in ceremonial processions. The Bible describes King David leading a great celebration, dancing and making music before the Ark as it was brought into Jerusalem. Both thee and the Ark are sacred containers for the divine, carried with great reverence and joy in public parades. They serve the same function to make the divine presence portable and bring it among the people. The ceremonial clothing worn by priests in both traditions also shows intriguing similarities. The traditional robes of a Shinto priest known as are simple, elegant, and often white, symbolizing purity. The high priest wears a special headdress, or the design of these garments has remained largely unchanged for centuries. Similarly, the Torah describes in great detail the sacred vestments of the Jewish high priest. These included a robe, a tunic, a sash, and a headdress. The high priest also wore a breastplate set with 12 precious stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel. While the specific details differ, the concept of special consecrated garments reserved only for priestly duties is a shared feature, signifying the priest's unique role as an intermediary. Music and sound also play a vital and similar role in the ceremonies of both faiths. In Shinto rituals, traditional Japanese music hall is often performed. This ancient court music uses instruments like a type of oboe, a flute, and a stringed instrument. The sounds are intended to create a serene and sacred atmosphere, pleasing to the kami. In the ancient Jewish temple, music was also an integral part of worship. The Levites played lyres, harps, and cymbals, and blew trumpets made of silver. The sound of a ram's horn is still used in Jewish services today, especially during the high holy days. In both traditions, music is not just entertainment, it is a sacred tool used to elevate the spirit and communicate with the divine. Section 5. A covenant with life, family, ancestors, and the divine. Both Shintoism and Judaism place a profound emphasis on the importance of family and lineage. In Shinto, ancestors are revered and considered to be part of the extended family, watching over their living descendants. They are honored at home altars called and during special festivals like Obon. This respect for ancestors is rooted in the belief that the family is an unbroken chain stretching from the past into the future. It is through the family that traditions are passed down and identity is maintained. This creates a strong sense of continuity and collective responsibility, where each generation has a duty to honor those who came before them and provide for those who will come after. This deep respect for ancestry and family continuity is mirrored in Judaism. The Jewish tradition is built upon the idea of a covenant that passes from one generation to the next, starting with Abraham. The phrase meaning from generation to generation is a central concept in Jewish life. Family is the primary vehicle for transmitting faith, culture, and identity. Jewish rituals, from the weekly Shabbat dinner to the Passover Seder, are centered around the family. The importance of remembering one's ancestors and teaching the children is a recurring theme in Jewish scripture and prayer. Both cultures see the family as the bedrock of their spiritual and communal existence, the essential link in a sacred chain. The idea of a special relationship or covenant between a people and the divine is another powerful shared element. Shinto mythology describes the Japanese people as descendants of the kami, with the emperor being a direct descendant of the sun goddess Amaterasu. This creates a unique bond between the land, the people, and the divine spirits. It is not a religion that one chooses to convert to in the same way as other faiths. It is intrinsically linked to Japanese identity. This sense of a divine origin and a special national destiny has shaped Japanese culture for centuries. It fosters a deep connection to the natural world of Japan, which is seen as the sacred homeland of the kami. This concept resonates strongly with the Jewish idea of the covenant. The Torah describes God making a covenant with Abraham and his descendants, the people of Israel. They are referred to as a chosen people, not to imply superiority, but to signify a special responsibility to live by God's laws and be a light unto the nations. This covenant binds the Jewish people to God and to the land of Israel, which is considered a holy land promised to them. In both Shintoism and Judaism, religious identity is deeply intertwined with national and ethnic identity. This creates a powerful sense of belonging and shared destiny. rooted in a sacred story that connects the people to a specific land and a divine plan. Section 6. Whispers of a Lost Tribe Exploring Ancient Theories. Over the years, the surprising number of parallels between Shinto and Jewish practices has led some writers and amateur researchers to develop theories about a direct historical connection. The most popular of these is the Japanese Jewish common ancestry theory. This theory suggests that a group of people from one of the lost 10 tribes of Israel managed to travel across Asia and eventually settle in ancient Japan. Proponents of this idea believe these ancient Israelites brought their religious customs with them, which then blended with local beliefs to form the foundations of Shintoism. They see the similarities not as coincidence, but as direct evidence of a shared heritage. Proponents of this theory point to a wide range of supposed evidence to support their claims. They compare the layout of the Ice Grand Shrine to the tabernacle in the desert. They note the resemblance between the portable and the Ark of the Covenant. They even find linguistic similarities, suggesting that certain Japanese words or place names have Hebrew origins. Some have pointed out that the traditional song sung while carrying the in some regions sounds like a Hebrew phrase. These ideas were first popularized in the 17th century and have been revisited by various writers, particularly in Japan, creating a fascinating subculture of historical speculation. However, it is very important to state clearly that these theories are not accepted by mainstream historians, archaeologists, or religious scholars. The academic community views these ideas as fringe theories. Scholars explain the similarities between Shintoism and Judaism in other ways. They suggest that these parallels are examples of convergent evolution in religion, where different cultures independently develop similar solutions to common human needs and questions. For example, the need for purification rituals, the creation of sacred spaces, and the honoring of ancestors are common themes in many religions around the world. These practices arise from a shared human psychology, not from a direct historical link. While the evidence for a direct link is not strong enough for scholars, the existence of these theories is itself interesting. It shows how deeply the parallels resonate with people who encounter them. The desire to find a hidden connection, a secret history that unites two distant cultures, is a powerful one. It speaks to a human longing for a more interconnected world. Whether or not ancient Israelites ever reached Japan, the discussion itself encourages us to look at both traditions with fresh eyes. It pushes us to appreciate the intricate details of their rituals and symbols, and to wonder at the incredible and sometimes mysterious ways that human cultures can echo one another across continents and millennia. Section 7. Bridges of Understanding. Why these parallels matter. In a world often marked by religious division and misunderstanding, exploring the unexpected parallels between faiths like Shintoism and Judaism offers a powerful antidote. It reminds us that beneath the surface of different doctrines and histories, there is a shared human spiritual impulse. When we see the Shinto devotee washing their hands at and a Jewish person performing a similar ritual, we recognize a common desire for purity and reverence. This recognition does not erase the unique identity of each religion. Instead, it enriches our understanding of both. It shows us that different paths can lead to the same mountain, and that the language of the sacred has many dialects. Learning about these similarities helps to break down the walls of otherness that so often separate us. It is easy to view a distant religion as strange or inaccessible. But when we discover that a Shinto procession has echoes of the ancient Israelites carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the strange becomes familiar. It builds a bridge of empathy. This process encourages a sense of humility and curiosity. It moves us away from judgment and toward a genuine desire to learn. By focusing on shared themes, such as the sanctity of family, the importance of community, and the need for sacred space, we can find common ground even with those whose beliefs seem at first to be entirely different from our own. This exploration also deepens our appreciation for our own traditions. A Jewish person learning about Shinto reverence for nature might find new meaning in the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, the New Year for trees. A person who follows Shinto might see the Jewish concept of covenant and feel a renewed appreciation for the deep connection between the Japanese people, their land, and the kami. Comparison is a mirror. It allows us to see our own beliefs reflected in a new light, revealing details and depths we may have previously overlooked. It prevents our faith from becoming static and encourages a dynamic living relationship with our own spiritual heritage through engagement with others. Ultimately, the parallels between Shintoism and Judaism are more than just a collection of interesting facts. They are a lesson in human unity. They teach us that despite our diverse cultures, languages, and histories, we are all engaged in a similar quest for meaning, connection, and transcendence. By celebrating these shared threads of humanity, we can foster greater respect, dialogue, and peace among the world's religions. The unlikely echoes between a shrine in Kyoto and a synagogue in Jerusalem are a beautiful testament to the idea that we have more in common than we often believe, and that in understanding others we can better understand ourselves.